From AIT Studios in Abuja, Nigeria, this is the O&M Late Show with Obiora and Mamode Akuga.
Hello and welcome once again. Yes, it's time again for that late night show, the O&M Late Show. My name is Mamode Akuga and I welcome you to this Tuesday night edition. Obiora is also here today.
Thank you, Mamode. Welcome to the O&M Late Show that's fast becoming a culture for a lot of people around Nigeria and outside Nigeria. Well, today the auditor is being audited. The watchdog is being watched. How has the media fared as we move towards 2015? How has it been between 2015 and the media? Some say we have done well. Some say yes, not too well. Some say we have done absolutely. Which word do we use?
I think
not so well.
Not so well. Yes, but you know there is a code of ethics that's supposed to guide journalists. You know, in situations like this, election coverage. Apart from the general code of practice, you also have stakeholders coming together to fashion out a special code just for, you know, the coverage of elections. You know, and we're going to be talking about that code later on, and then how journalists have been able to, you know, discharge their duties, whether they've done it well, whether some of them have been influenced or induced. So, and we have very important people in the media profession that are going to be joining us later to take a look at that. Our first set of guests this evening will be the president of the Nigeria Union of Journalists, Garba Muhammed.
Garba is already seated in our studio. And if your eyes are very sharp, I'm sure you already caught the Director General of Nigerian Broadcasting Commission,
yes, the NBC, yes, which is a regulatory body.
Emeka is DG, and he's already seated in our studio. Yes. And we have that veteran. He's fast become an authority in the media business. I wrote a couple of books about media, election coverage, and what have you. We have Orji, Ogbonnaya Orji, who is Director of Public Affairs at NATI right now. He used to be advisor to the Senate President. He used to be advisor to the Information Minister.
I think I just say he used to be a journalist.
No, Orji keeps saying that he has not gone anywhere. He's still a journalist through and through.
Once a journalist, always a journalist. So, and also joining Orji Ogbonnaya Orji later on, will be a very, very versatile broadcaster. Different areas of broadcasting is covered, and he's been in the United States for quite a while.
Practicing his art?
Yes, practicing his art.
In the last 15 years?
Yes, running a radio and TV internet station. Well, he's back in the country, Kensington, Osuhonye, Ajufor, a member of the family.
Yes, he's a sports guru, you know.
Yes.
But after the sojourn in the United States, he has also become an internet guru.
Yes.
Well, he'll be joining us in the later part of the program. And of course, we have one of the biggest comedians in the federal capital. I won't give you his name right now. Well,
let the cat out of the bag.
But I'm sure our cameras are showing him where he is getting ready to banter with us much later.
All right,
in the program. But
just to quickly, some of the things that happened today that, you know, caused quite a stir. First, President Goodluck Jonathan sacked the chairman of the Subsidy Reinvestment and Empowerment Program, SHOPE. That's General Martin Luther Aguirre, retired.
And replaced him with Ishaya Dare Akau.
Yes.
And that took a lot of people by surprise.
Yes, you know, because one of the areas that President Jonathan keeps pointing to when he's campaigning is the beautiful things that have been done through Shopee. It talks about road construction, talks about even employment and all that, and he points his fingers at Shopee. And it's an agency that he's been very proud of. But for a lot of people to just see today that the man has been fired.
Well, there are speculations. We can't confirm it on this show tonight, but if we have to confirm it later, we will. We understand that maybe because he may have delivered a lecture somewhere, which wasn't maybe friendly territory or something like that.
Let's not say somewhere. Obiora, he delivered a lecture at President Olusegun Obasanjo's 78th birthday. It's likely that may have irked President Jonathan.
Or ruffled some feathers.
Yes, of course, the not so cordial relationship right now between President Jonathan and, of course, President Obasanjo.
And eventually the army is put into trial the two generals and a couple of military officers
who refused to fight
Boko Haram.
Yes.
But maybe...
I wonder how they'll be feeling now, seeing the army recording so much success against Boko Haram.
Well, it's before the military court, so we're not going to talk much about that.
Well, going to the Niger Delta now, there's been...
No, I thought we were going to talk about the progress our people have made combating Boko Haram in this last few weeks. And of course, Boko Haram again struck today in Maiduguri at the Monday market.
Yes, but...
Mahmoud, this is the 5th time in 2015 that they are attacking the same market.
Yes, but, Obiora, what I've said, they are now resorting, to, this suicide bombing in areas considered as soft targets because they're natural areas where they claim to have had complete control, seize some parts of Nigerian territory. Of course, you know that the Nigerian army and the military are taking back those places.
Yeah, Mahmoud, we've actually praised the efforts of our military.
Yes.
But I'm sorry, I'm also worried that a target that has been hit 5 times just this year
I think what
is not being protected.
I think what we need to tell our security people is that, look, yes, you are concentrating now on taking back the towns. They need to go back with intelligence and the necessary things they do to prevent this type of suicide bombing that is taking place, areas considered to be very soft targets. Well, youth in the Niger Delta, yes, the sum of $16 billion compensation from oil spill. Youths are going crazy in the Niger Delta. Youths from, Bayelsa Rivers, Akwa Ibom, Edo, Cross River, and Ondo. They've been saying that they've been looking for this compensation for oil that spilled in several communities. That money has been paid by ExxonMobil and is causing real problems with the youths.
Yeah, but
and in fact,
but why should we all fight for compensation, and when it comes, some people want to put it in their pockets?
Yes, that's the natural
and it doesn't
story.
Get to the ordinary people.
Yes, those community leaders, a lot of them are usually very fond of that, divert these monies into their pockets.
Well, Mother, did you hear that the former First Lady of Ivory Coast, Côte d'Ivoire, has been sentenced to 20 years in jail?
Wait for this, electoral violence.
Electoral violence.
Yeah, so our people need to be very careful because...
You have to watch it.
Yes, you have to watch it.
We have to watch what we say, we have to watch what we do, we have to watch who we talk to, because you never know, after the elections, you may be heading to the ICC.
All right, our guests are all here and itching and ready to go, and so don't go away, we'll be right back with our first set of guests.
Somebody say, my blessing go big past your own.
My blessing go big past your own.
Well, I thought that was a wrestling match somewhere in my village, southeast Nigeria. But actually it was in a church, and the Holy Spirit had caught up with them, and it was dances all through. It's still your O and M.
No, let's don't be too much.
Don't talk about it.
That was a Catholic priest.
Yes.
So what kind of dance was that? And what? I mean, there's something you guys in the south is called ogene. Or what? It's tell me a little.
Mamode, we don't have time. Let's go to business. So welcome to your O&M Late Show again, and our first set of guests for this evening, we have the Director General of the Nigerian Broadcasting Commission, and we also have the President of the Nigerian Union of Journalists. They are the regulators in this business. Gentlemen, would you kindly join us?
Yes. Garba Muhammed.
Yeah,
You're welcome, sir.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Please.
You're welcome.
Welcome.
Gentlemen, you're welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
The auditor is being audited. Today, our reporters went out, and they found themselves in the midst of two camps. Some said, "Oh, we like what you're doing." Some said, "Oh, you belong to this side," and it was almost going to get violent. What was the problem? They were quarreling with the media. So many reports. Emeka Mba, you are DG of the Nigerian Broadcasting Commission. You regulate our behavior. Are you impressed with how we have carried on as we go to 2015 elections?
Is that a fair question? But thank you.
I think it means the media.
No,
generally.
I mean, yeah.
No,
I understand. I'm trying to get my senses, get my bearings so I can answer you properly. No, let me say this with all sense of responsibility. I think largely the media has conducted itself okay. They've done all right. Have they fulfilled all the expectations of what Nigerians expect of them? I don't think so, but I think they've done okay, and that's it's perhaps not a very generous assessment because I expect more. I think Nigerians, as you rightly said from your report, expect more of the media, expect to get better information about the candidates, about the policies, and perhaps Nigerians expect that this is not just about the elections, but about the democratic process, because we tend to think that it's all about the campaigns and the vote and then it ends there. No, it continues after the elections. Questions should be asked about the political office holders, about people should do a lot more research about the candidates running for office, about what they intend to do, what has been the antecedents, and so on and so forth. There's a lot of expectation. But at the same time, we live in an age where in the last 10 years, and even before then, Nigeria has had the freest press. People might argue with this, but I will say, and the chairman of NUJ is here, we've had the freest press, perhaps one of the freest press in the world. Some of the things that you find in the airwaves in Nigeria and in print media, you can't find them anywhere else, not even in some of the freest democracies anywhere else in the world. And now we are in an election period that's hotly contested. I mean, this is perhaps one of the most keenly contested elections we've had in the last 3 decades or so. So there's a lot at stake here, and there's a lot going on. When you add the fact that this is not just about the context of this election, but also the context of how the media has developed with social media, with a lot of people free and saying all kinds of things, that we live in a free society, we live in a very democratic society. A lot of things are still up in the air about what's the role of the media. So we're in perhaps a phase of redefining what the media should do and what the public expect the media to do.
Okay.
All right. Garba, a new code is put out to that somehow gets all the stakeholders one way or another, whether it's government, the political parties, the journalists themselves, the media organizations, civil society groups, and all that. Each group with a particular role. Now, for you, this code, do you think that it will get full implementation?
Well, if I may add from what the DG has said, actually the media has done very, very well as far as I'm concerned. And of course, you spoke about the code. We are part and parcel of those who really struggle to ensure that we have the code in place, because the last time we had the Nigerian Code of Ethics for Journalists was in 1996. And we thought that coming together, the stakeholders, there is need for us to review so that it will tally with the existing reality and to make it of international standard. And I think that is what we did, and we were able to mobilize all the stakeholders, and we even have a code that is basically responsible for election coverage in Nigeria.
Yes.
So we have really circulated the content of the code to all the stakeholders so that eventually we will have their input. And by the time we have their input, we'll have a general meeting where all the stakeholders will be duly signed. But in terms of implementation, I think that is why we have some challenge, despite the fact that we all agreed that we are doing very, very well. But if you look at the content of our publication and our analysis in both the broadcast and the print media, you still find some element of professional misconduct and abuse of privileges coming up on the side of the media. So I think our greatest challenge is the issue of implementation. For the broadcast media, I think there is no much problem because the NBC is there. But if you look at what is happening at the print media, the Nigerian Press Council is virtually not existing because there was disagreement, and that is the regulatory body as far as the print media is concerned. And if you have sort of this professional misconduct, it's more prominent, it's more visible in the print media because of the issue of implementation of the Code of Ethics. And I think that is a major challenge as far as the media is concerned. As far as this 2015 election is also concerned, I was a little bit worried before the postponement of the election. And honestly, I was very happy when the NBC invited almost all the stakeholders in the broadcast media and warned them that they have to be guided by the ethics of the broadcast. So I think it's a very, very good development for the stakeholders to sit down and ensure the implementation of the Code of Ethics. Okay. This will enhance journalism profession in our country.
DG, in the last 1 week or two, we've seen something like a circus among the politicians. Politician A takes politician B to court asking for 50 billion. Politician B takes the other man to court asking for 5 billion. In other words, everybody has a grouse. How much of these complaints have come to your desk? How much of these petitions have come to your desk, talking about the conduct of, say, the broadcast media?
Well, a lot has come to us, obviously. I mean, because broadcasting is more regulated than the print media. So a lot of the issues come to us. We, ask people who take offense to materials that have been broadcast to complain formally to the Commission. We have a monitoring process that we have in-house in terms of when we see things that we believe are in clear breach of the broadcasting code, we can act on our own. But that is in itself is subject to, is justiciable. People can also go to court and say you cannot be the judge and jury in your own matter. We've had a case in Adaba FM many years ago where the NBC, where the court found against us. So, but we try as much as we can to follow the process as laid down in the broadcasting code. So when someone complains, or when we see something that is, we have a line. Let me be clear. We draw a line when it comes to issues in respect to hate speech, that are with particular respect to ethnicity, to tribe, to religion. We draw the line. But when it comes to Vin Martin, someone says Vin or Emeka is has all white hair on his head and is not fit and proper person. That's what politicians do. We need to recognize that that's a game of politics. Politicians are in the business. They're not going to go and
discrediting their opponents.
We wish for politicians not to have negative ads, but that's a wish. The reality is not just in our own space, but in all the spaces, in all the democratic spaces in the UK, in America, in other places, where politicians often resort to negative ads. They will call each other out. They will say things. That's politics. And so when someone accuses someone of being something that they feel they're not, they have recourse to the law. The NBC is not in a position to know whether this person is right or wrong, per se. That's why the courts are there. So what we will do is, when someone has complained to us, and we write to the station or to the broadcaster and say, this person has this complaint. What's your view on this particular matter? If we feel that the response we get from the broadcaster is such that, in our own assessment, and this is subject to the courts also, coming out with an interpretation on that, we will say cease and desist, or we will say we'll find you guilty and we'll fine you. But where we absolutely draw the line is when it comes to things, because we have a history. When it comes to religion, people are very sensitive about religion. I am very sensitive about my religion. So when you bring up such matters, I will draw the line myself. I'm not talking about myself as an individual. So we're sensitive about religious issues. We're sensitive about ethnic issues, about the stereotyping of a particular group of person or persons. But when it comes to people making allegations,
like the documentaries,
like a documentary,
left, right, and
left,
center.
right. What we worry about is, do you have a right of reply or response?
Okay.
Now, if that's been denied you, if someone says Mr. A is white, and Mr. A says, no, I'm not white, I'm black, and is denied access
to say that,
then that's where we will
have an issue.
We'll have an issue. But whether we know whether that person to be white or black, we can't say that because we do not know the facts. I'm not a law enforcement agency. I'm not an investigative organization. I cannot leave my job and start investigating whether Mr. A or B is actually white or black. That's something else that some other bodies have to deal with.
Yes, but DG, to quickly stay with this, how do you determine partisanship? Because we talked a little bit just now about, materials that go left, back and forth. One party comes out, put this, and they pay for it. Another person comes and put this. How do you, for instance, as NBC, where do you drop the hammer to say, no, this is wrong? You have displayed partisanship.
Let me give you a few real life examples. You have this show, you have this nice mugs in front of us. If it says, if it has a picture of a particular political party, or the backdrop has it, and the other party or the other parties do not have access, we draw the line there. Where you get up and speak in favor of a particular person or political party, and say almost as if you're editorializing in favor of that particular party, we draw the line there. You're campaigning for that particular, you say candidate A or B, this is the best, we draw the line there, okay? But if you invite that person to your show, assuming I'm a politician, invite me to the show and I'm telling you about my campaign or my party or something, these are the thin lines. Yeah. But where we take exceptions is where people will place materials or speak as if they're speaking for, the code is quite clear.
Endorsing candidates.
Endorsing candidates. No media organizations will endorse candidates. No on-air personality in the employ of a particular broadcaster should endorse candidates. No broadcaster should do that. Okay? So that's where we draw the line.
All right, Garba, one of the things that worry journalists a lot is safety. And I think that from the new code that you've put together with other stakeholders, one of the things that it's in that code, I've had the privilege of going through it completely. Yeah. One of the things that's in that code is that the government, which is, I mean, the stakeholder in this, putting this together, must ensure the safety of journalists when they go for election coverage and election duties. Now, I'll quickly just take you to Rivers State, not too long ago, where one of the TV stations was, putting out a live transmission program, and the young gentleman was running commentaries. And then there were gunshots left, right, and center, and then he was stabbed in his throat. What have you been able to do to try to ensure that, because the code also says that, government must ensure prompt investigation and prosecution of people found guilty. How are we going to ensure safety of journalists in this situation?
Well, I think that is a very serious issue, and it's really a challenge to us, because if you are talking about the security and safety of journalists, you are talking of issues that has happened even in the past, because, for instance, if you trace the history of journalists who were assassinated or killed in the course of discharging their social responsibility, probably right from the time when Delegua was killed and to date, quite a number of them were either assaulted or were killed. And unfortunately, the security agencies are yet to find the culprits. And if you are talking about security issues, that journalists have to be encouraged so that they will be able to discharge their social responsibility as expected by the people. The issue of security and safety is very, very fundamental, as you have made mention. But one of the areas which we are really agitating is the issue of insurance policy. We felt that there is need for every journalist in this country, not necessarily those who are going to be involved in the coverage of 2050 election. We initiated what we call the NUJ insurance scheme, so that journalists will come and subscribe. At the same time, we have been talking and we have been negotiating with quite a number of media organizations to ensure that every journalist is properly insured. And then we have also engaged government and security agencies for them to understand that journalists, like any other Nigerians, they are supposed to be protected. They're supposed to be protected by the security agencies, in view of the fact that the hazards that are associated with journalists are there, and journalists' lives are in danger, especially those of us who will engage in either investigative journalism or in covering election or at the war front. So we felt that the issue of protection on the side of government is also very, very important. But most importantly, I think government and the security agencies, for journalists to have the courage to be able to do their duty as expected by the people and as enshrined by the Constitution, there is need for government to intensify to ensure that all those who have committed crimes against journalists are really arrested and prosecuted. It is very, very fundamental. And I think this is the only reason why journalists would be able to have the courage to do their duties.
Okay, gentlemen, we must thank you for, for your time. Yes. We have a little gift. DJ?
Thank you very much.
Just for you to keep on your table.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
And the O&M Late Show.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Do we have the privilege of
he's not going with
question?
that.
Okay, thank you so much, Garba.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
we'll take a
Thank you so
break,
much.
and when we take this break, we go to the streets. What are Nigerians saying about those of us doing this job?
Should not be biased. The media should be neutral in this election.
He was expecting that the media is supposed to, you understand, give us a vital information about what is happening politically.
In recent time, I don't think there is anything media is doing now that I don't like. Rather, they have been helping us to get information, especially about this election. If anyone feels so biased about any publication by media, the person should go and seek redress in the courts.
Based on fact, on sincerity of purpose, not taking side with political parties.
The media should do the right thing. They should be on a neutral ground to be sincere.
They are sided. Sometimes when you are reading any newspaper or you are watching any stations, you should know that this station is for PDP, this station is for APC, this station is for this party, this station. So to me, Nigerian media really, they are sided. They are not on defense. As a media in politics, in a society, an ethnic society like this, in a plural society, you stand firm on your own. You don't take a side. Whether PDP, APC, stand firm. Tell people what they want to know. Discover things people are not aware of. Expose whatever people need to know about a particular candidate. You vote individual this time. We don't vote party. We don't vote ethnic. We don't vote religion. But individual. So you have to tell us about that individual. That is what the media should be talking about.
Well, like the young man there said, you expose what people want to know about the candidates. Well, it's still our talk today on the 2015 elections and the media. Well, at this point in time, we will be talking to some two practitioners, and we'll be taking a look at some other part of the codes which we didn't talk about with our earlier guest. And I think our guest currently will be in a better position to do justice to that. First joining us now is Orji, Ogbonnaya Orji. I think I can rightly call him a veteran journalist at this point. And of course, Osuhonye Kensington Ajufor.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Orji,
thank you very much.
Always a delight to have you.
Thank you.
Good to see you.
Thank you very much.
Kensington, welcome back home.
It's a pleasure.
Welcome.
It's a pleasure.
Well, Orji, you are not only a practicing journalist, you've also shared the experience of journalism while you covered the presidency, while you covered the political parties with the rest of Nigerians and the world. One of the accusations that the journalists face every day is the accusation of taking sides and brown envelopes.
I think I'll have my brother there to just put it very clearly. This election that we're about to go into, and you know all the activities leading up, have you seen the coloration that a lot of money, brown envelope has exchanged hands with journalists?
Well, I have not seen any envelope, whether it's brown, black, or yellow.
Or green.
What I have seen is actually a very, very robust journalism at the beginning, but as the momentum of the whole campaign gets to a crescendo kind of level, quite frankly, many of us become worried that the message is becoming low, and it's also becoming raw, and sometimes indecent. And what is more worrisome for me personally, as one who has also reported politics, we covered the June 12th presidential election, from the primaries to when the election ran into a hitch. we traveled widely and we were exposed to various levels of training, both by the then United States Information Service, which mounted a lot of training for political reporters, and the defunct National Democratic Institute, under Professor Omori. Yeah. So I do think that personally, I think I'm worried about the message. I'm worried in the sense that we pay more attention to hate contents of message that come out of political campaigns. I mean, politicians can talk. They say all kinds of things when they are on stage. But the reporter has the responsibility to make a choice of the kind of information, story, that you send across from the field.
But it's not possible that some of these reporters believe that, the headlines sells their papers, for instance.
Sensationalism.
Sensationalism. And so if that hate speech there, it makes, good sensational material.
But that's where I'm worried, because every media organization has some code of conduct. Once you are deviating from an issue, an editor has a responsibility to his country, to his organization, and to himself to make sure that the message that comes out of his organization while he's on that desk is one that inspires discussions, promotes public debate in a way that leads to a positive outcome. I mean, the message must be issue-based.
Okay. Osuhonye, you've practiced here in Nigeria. You've also had opportunity of practicing abroad.
That's right.
Do you think that the Nigerian journalist has insulated, I don't know whether I should also add isolated, because he's still a member of the society, from, like one of our respondents said just now, from bias, either supporting party A or supporting party B? Do you think we've remained on the middle course?
What has happened is the abandonment of the fourth estate of the realm in societal growth and development. As a matter of fact, when we learned civics, from the beginning, they would tell us about the executive, the legislature, the judiciary, and they reminded you there was the press, the societal watchdog. You know what I'm saying? Now, what we have done so far in this country in particular, for a long time, the executive held on to power and the resources, the funds. You know what I'm saying? And then eventually, in this present arrangement, we know that the legislative arm is now settled. The judiciary are still fighting for their share of the funds to run the judiciary and be independent. And so the journalists, the fourth group, who you expect to be entirely independent, are impoverished, unprovided for, unprotected, and you want them to go carry placards where angels fear to tread. Zamba left here a minute ago talking about the MBC and all sorts of things. The MBC, to all intents and purposes, is a failed organization. The MBC has lost any atom of direction in even how to monitor, the content, analyze them, and tell us what's going on. You want to accuse this party or the other party or this station or the other station of being biased? Show me your statistics. Show me your data. Show me your media control center, where you're monitoring these things. Come back here with a printout. Or give me a website where I can go and see that, on AIT, there was 999 minutes of advertising for PDP and XXX for the other party. You don't have your data, you don't have information, you don't have nothing, and you say you are regulating. What are you regulating? What is in place to protect the reporter? The reporter, you want to be independent, you don't understand, has no policy. The NUJ man spoke about insurance. What insurance policy are we talking about?
No, but there's a lot of responsibility on the shoulders of the journalists, even taking cognizance of the fact that you have these shortfalls that society owes the journalist.
Yes.
But the journalist has the
society
social
has to pay
responsibility.
the journalists. That's what I'm saying. The executives always paid themselves. The legislature have now paid themselves. The judiciary don't even have funds to operate. They go to our courts and see. Go and see the state of
how will
payment.
society pay the journalists? How will society pay the journalists?
Very good. At least begin to understand that you must fund private broadcasting in your country. You must. I heard them talk about developing local content and some funds that's going to come from somewhere. Put those funds in the hands of the operators so they can perform. You understand what I'm saying? So that if I'm going into a zone that I feel not safe, I can wear an armed vest like my American counterpart. I will not go there with my big tummy, carrying a microphone and waiting to be shot.
Now, Ogbonnaya, I think you need to come in here. It's a holding brief for practitioners. And, you know, it's turning the entire thing on his head.
No, I think...
I don't know if you agree.
No, I disagree slightly, sir. I disagree. In fact, I disagree, sir. I've practiced in this country for the last, over the last 3 decades. And I have worked essentially more in the public service organization. I was with the Federal Radio Corporation of Nigeria. In the FRCN, there's a clear staff structure, and there's a clear career pattern that every member of staff subscribes to. And that career pattern carries you throughout your career. And
no, but Orji,
I'm coming. I'm coming, sir. I'm coming, sir. I'm coming, sir. And for the private media, I can't speak for the private media, but I do know that every organization has its own wages. Let me say this for all public, for all categories of workers, the issue of remuneration and wages is a complete labor issue.
Orji, I'm not talking about wages. I am not. I'll step on your toes, please. I'm not talking about wages. Look, media houses throughout the world, especially where they are privately funded, will take adverts that come through the door. And then, the codes are very clear, let the other party bring their materials in too. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think the focus
That's
of
where the
this,
balance will begin to.
The focus of my own concern when I made the opening statement was that I expect us, because what we are speaking about, what we are talking about is the operations in the field. What are those?
Yes, but the operations in the field. Where do we draw the line? Because, like he said, he mentioned executive has settled themselves, judiciary has strong, but the legislative.
I don't have that information.
No, but
it is a statement of fact.
The journalist and the very poor remuneration. How does that make him turn his back? I mean, it's the same thing.
Let's not go all out to begin to give justifications to professional lapses, if we have any. You understand? Let's focus on the. I think the question you asked me was, what should be the idea? Am I satisfied with
how they have performed?
That's how. And I was saying that at the beginning, the momentum, I think our media has done very well. But I am also getting worried that the message we are deviating from.
We are losing it.
We are losing the message.
But where we disagree is that he's seeing the media as the journalists.
Are you soliciting for a special fund like we have for Nollywood to fund the media, the private media?
See, the private television and radio stations, they earn money from commercials and inputs, right? They will earn money from those who walk through the door, if they are political parties or otherwise. And in this particular dispensation, the onus is left for the practitioners, the politicians, to advertise their products. Now, but going to what he's saying, to be on the side of what he's saying, what has the journalist done so far, as the journalist per se? Journalism in this dispensation has gone cold and frozen because of the same thing I'm talking about, because of the impetus to perform, to go and do the extraordinary. Most journalists today are embedded with the parties. Yeah, they are mercenaries. They are writing
what's the relationship? What's the relationship with how does a reporter interpret a story? To be able to...
Yes, I was going to ask you that, but I think
talking about the media houses,
we're out of
media
time.
Owners,
and you talk about sensationalism. I think the politicians themselves are not saying what they should say. And the reporter has to report.
This is an ongoing discussion.
It is ongoing. I think we have to come back again and take a look at this.
Thank you so much. Come back here in 2 weeks, which is data of what they've done so far.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
We just move over to the sofa.
We're just going to take a walk
to the sofa. And invite Bright to join us immediately.
Yes.
Bright, please join us as we round off. Yeah, you're welcome.
Brian, how are you?
No, thank you.
So how are the comedians keen into this mood of the season? Are you developing new repertoire for this season?
What do you mean repertoire?
But
because I'm already having problems facing both of you there. O&M. Please, I could reduce the English, not be for me or not for me, but for the Nigerians out there, please. The repertoire for this, because the repertoire concerns this interview now.
Okay. The Fred Bright. Why two English names? Are you Nigerian?
And they are saying you don't like English.
Okay, no, it's not as if I don't like it, but Fred Bright, my real name is Frederick Chukwu Ofoma.
Okay.
I am from Enugu State, but Fred Bright is the hustling name. Do you know where they bring the money?
Okay.
Whatever, the other name, actually, the original name is gone. So
the original name is
I prefer this one now.
This one they bring the pay.
Yeah.
How did you get here, Fred? How did you become one of the hottest properties in Abuja when we talk about comedy?
Hard work, I'll tell you.
I was afraid we were going to say you came by car.
Of course, and this is not hill, is something else. Actually, I drove down here. It hasn't been a very easy journey in Abuja here, but we've been doing it. It has to do with consistency. You know, we've actually persisted to, over time, trying to work, trying to learn. That's why I have. If you talk to anybody in Lagos from Alibaba to any comedian in Lagos, they tell you Fred Bright has got good relationship. The idea and the reason is because over time I learned from everybody. I try to serve so that I can have people who serve me and all that. So over time, it has actually helped me to ride on shoulders of those who are actually on top. So
what were you doing before comedy?
I was not no do, but no thief. I even do Okada join. I say pure water, not no do, but that's part of the story. Actually, I got into town. I was doing business, building material, basically, but. At the point I said to myself, I have to go back to school, but that's not my passion, that's not what I believe in. I believe in happiness. And over time, I've always believed that I'm going to make money, I'm going to be one of the richest in the world from what comes out of me. Because that's always been my belief. I entered playing football. At the point I find myself doing comedy, which it's the best thing I've ever happened to me.
How do you come up with your jokes? How do you come up with your material?
Okay, research, basically. Research. And,
did you research the two of us before you came?
No, but I think I watched some of the interview, like you asked the man if they had a received envelope. I did receive an envelope. There was exchange of, seriously, I got an envelope, but the envelope is the envelope I exchanged with companies that actually sponsored my show. When he asked about the brown envelope, he didn't ask where it's coming from. Things like that, you get to I'm a spontaneous person, so I like to be in an environment so I could develop. I don't want to tell stories about people who went to the farm and stuff like that. I want to watch things happen.
So the environment determined?
Yes, yes, of course. Inspires me to get funny.
Have you made money doing this?
Yes, of course. I don't build small house for Papa and Mama for village.
Really?
I get car like 4 of them. And
why they talk the car like 4 of them?
4 of them.
Why talk them out? Maybe Nigerians. Are you afraid that they're going to come see you tomorrow and say, that guy has hit it big?
The business is beautiful right now, actually. It's pretty lucrative, and it's not about the pay. To me, it's about giving back worth for your money. That's my watchword. I want to give back. When after the whole negotiation, the next thing on my mind is, how am I going to deliver to give worth for money? Whenever I have my shows in town, like 70–80% are my clients. They buy my table first before any other person comes. Because I've been able to build relationship, and because over time I've delivered for them.
Do you have writers? People writing jokes for you and all?
No, I don't. I wish I really like now. I've just got a new management from Lagos. They just got into town and somehow working right now because I really want to make it very, very professional. Okay. Just like the way I research, and of course I've seen 1 or 2 shows abroad, so I really want to make it have people now.
Like real business.
Yeah, so after the whole, write-ups right now, we'll come together, we'll discuss it, get to like stage it, and that's how that is done over, you know, some other part of the world we learn from.
We have to go now.
The way you're going, the money is coming.
Yeah,
so
but
the next time you're coming here, come with the money.
Before we
no, Ogilo, no, before I go, when I meet her, no, give
no, we're going to give it. But
no, time
no,
mug.
but wait, Fred, you have to tell our viewers something to make them laugh and sleep well.
Which of the camera go face?
Just face this one, we'll face you, so.
Okay, different face. Face me, I face you. Now, this should make you laugh. Go home on the 28th, vote. As a young person, do not fight. Don't be part of violence. If you fight, now here we go do your news, you go don't die.
How somebody will laugh this kind of
now, this one better pass joke. So that this I come do for you.
Thank you. Fred, thank you so much.
The next time we're going to get something bigger for you.
When you come.
Bigger mug, bigger envelope, brand envelope. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, well, that's our package for tonight. Yeah. Why don't you sit down?
Sit down with us while we'll
be back here on Friday night, 11 p.m.
Yes.
But you can watch our shows on hbl.com. That's our TV portal. I'm Obi Orilo from Abuja, Nigeria.
And I am Mahmoud Akuga. See you Friday night. Bye for now.